All right, I think we can begin now. It's 6 o'clock. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Yes. All right. So we have got Sarath Perera. We've been wanting to have this conversation for a long time. Everybody is joining in with Artravel's first live webinar. Artravel is Walker's Tours luxury brand. Walker's Tours is one of the leading destination management companies in Sri Lanka. We've been servicing our clientele for over 50 years. And right now we're about to have a lovely conversation with Sarath Perera and three other distinguished invitees. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Right, so let me introduce everybody to you. Sarath, he is an award-winning global marketer and author of the world's first wildlife travel-based management lessons book, Management from the Wild 101 Lessons. Welcome, Sarath.
Thank you for that introduction.
Okay, so then we have three invitees. Vikesh Walia, former board director at Times of India Group, Board of Governors and Institute of Directors, India. Welcome. And we've got Zara Easton, brand marketing LinkedIn. Welcome. And we've got Mike Berry, digital marketing consultant, lecturer, and author, UK. Welcome to you. A very warm welcome from Sri Lanka. Let me say, Ayubovan.
Nice to be here.
Lovely.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome. All right, so we are live on Facebook as well. So if there's anybody interested in sharing, please do share the Artravel page. You can join in and join this lovely conversation. Right, so without further ado, we will get started with the conversation. So Sarath, let me ask you first. By profession, you are a marketeer. How did you get involved in wildlife? How did you link wildlife and marketing? It's very fascinating. It's puzzling to some of the viewers, I'm sure. So tell us, how did you get into this? What inspired you to write this amazing book called Management from the Wild 101 Lessons? Tell us.
Thank you, Rasini. So I think our distinguished guest here also from a marketing background to a great extent. But I think wildlife wasn't something that I was really keen in terms of what I would have done in the past. It was a passion which came probably 6 years ago. So from my small days, you read all these encyclopedias, you see all these animals, the lions, the tigers, the leopards, and you are always interested. But school life, then you get into university, you never find time, and you never find time for that passion, right? But I think that's what changed in 2016 when I decided, I'm just going to go to Kenya. And by no intention did I go thinking, I'm going to Kenya and I'm going to write a book. That was not the intention.
That was not the intention.
That was never the intention. Because there was a bucket list, right? And at that point, it was whether I go to Europe or whether I go to Kenya. It was a debate. And I decided Kenya, which kind of was probably a life-changing decision. And following Kenya, went to India, which I loved. Again, repeated India because it had so much to offer in terms of wildlife. Nepal, and at that point, when I finished my travels in Nepal, I kind of realized there was so much of lessons we had learned, and myself being a lecturer as well. You kind of teach a lot of people things out of a book, but in real life, when the experience happens and when you start to relate to all the good, the bad, the surprises, the thrilling adventures you have, that's where lessons kind of came in. So, I mean, I thought when I was coming back from Nepal, I'm going to write this book, and I didn't, because MBA and a lot of the work kind of came through. But can't thank the pandemic, but with the pandemic, I had ample time and had a lot of time to reflect on all the travels I did. And that's how we have this today.
Lovely. Amazing. I'd like to mention this book is really, really fascinating to our viewers. You must get your hands on it. It's really interesting. I mean, I've had the privilege to read this book, and the first lesson itself caught my attention. I mean, it's a great start. Let me read it out to you. I'm sure you'll understand how good the book is afterwards, right? So the first lesson is, intentions are pointless unless shared with a like-minded person. If not, it remains an intention or a delayed action. So true, right? If you just have an intention and if you don't have somebody to share it with, you will never do anything about it. You'll just, it'll be to yourself. But when you share it with somebody, it's great. So I'd like to ask our invitees, maybe starting with Zara, then Mike, then Vikesh, what were the highlights for you in this book? Zara.
I've got it to hand here as well. So thank you, Sarah, for sending me this. Yeah, I think, for me personally, I love traveling, and actually, like as Sarath said, this year we've had time to reflect, and I haven't been away since 2019, which is really unlike me. So I think I just love the fact that there's this real passion for travel and nature, and like bringing that in just into a work environment, because every lesson you're like, oh my God, that's so true. You have so much, so much of it is grounded in actually like what happens in the real world. So for me, a personal highlight probably, I mean, I think everyone, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but there was definitely some really gripping parts with a hippopotamus and a rhinoceros. So I think, I think probably for me, the highlight was taking risks and enjoying life. And actually that's comes true in business as well. Like, how do you take risks and enjoy it with people?
All right. So what about Berry? Mike Berry, tell us, what was your highlight?
Well, as I said in my review, it's a remarkable book. It's very unusual. There are a lot of business books. I will confess I've written some business books which are more conventional than this. They kind of tell you how to do things, and they tell you strategy, and they give you details. This book kind of inspires you, which is coming from a different place. And I think it's an intriguing concept to combine wildlife with business. And the more you read it, the more you realize that there are genuine parallels. And as an educator, I kept coming across things and I thought, yeah, with all proper referencing to the author, I could use that. In other words, it's an inspirational quote. And I would have been very surprised for someone to tell me there were 101 lessons and every one of them could be inspirational and could be so true. And I can't find one that I disagree with. So for me, it's a really remarkable, very unusual book. And it stands out in a very cluttered marketplace. So I wouldn't spoil it either. I don't want to give away any of the secrets. It's not a long book. It's not daunting. It's not a book that you think, well, I must get around to reading that before I die. Put it on the bucket list, maybe next year, maybe in a few years' time. Do it now. Get hold of it, read it, and start putting it into practice. It's truly inspirational.
All right. What about Vikesh?
Oh, I must thank Sarath for introducing me to such a lovely book. And it was indeed a very, very quick read. And I enjoyed reading it. I just couldn't stop. And I had no reason, like Mike was saying, that I go to postpone it for tomorrow or for next week or something, or a weekend. The moment I got it in my hand, I could just finish it same day, non-stop. Maybe I had to spend my whole night reading it, but it was a quick read. I must thank Sarath for introducing me to such a lovely book and very, very unusual. I was wondering what lessons, what management lessons I'm going to get from the wild. I knew that he's fond of traveling. I knew he's fond of going to the forest and faraway areas.
Let me add over there, just to add over there. For me, when I read it, I thought, okay, it's management from the wild. So it's not just management. We're learning about wildlife. We're learning about travel. There's travel advice as well. It's educational. Yeah. It's like an all-in-one, and life advice as well. Like really great life advice also, right? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. We have got lovely forests in northeast of India. And I used to travel there hugely. And we have got hippos there and elephants like no other state. Even Kerala has got elephants, but the elephants in Assam, which is northeast of India, are a different breed altogether. They come down to the highway, and they would dance and hold a bus until unless people don't give them some bananas. And we used to carry a lot of bananas, so that you threw bananas at them and then they'll go away. So I was wondering, but I must say, Sarath, each of these 100 gems that you have picked up are very, very enjoyable, and they bring a different perspective. I've spent 45 years in marketing. That's not a small time. There is nothing new that comes. What comes is a new perspective to the same thing, and it brings a new learning. It brings a new experience. I think your book has done that wonderfully. My compliments. Yeah.
Thank
Great,
you.
great. Sarath, so if I ask
I think we
you-
all should hold it for a moment together.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Superb. Superb.
Yeah. We must compliment Sarath, and we should all hold it together in our hands so that we can have a lovely picture.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have
Sarath,
an
you
e-copy
should also.
only. I only have an
And
e-copy.
Rasmi, you don't have a book?
I have an e-copy.
Ah, okay.
You hold up your screen then.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah, I think
Love
you
that.
Thank you.
get a good picture of all this.
I hope
And
so.
so 100 of them, I read them more than once. And I think one of the lessons on crisis, because this was the time that we were during pandemic and we were all kind of a crisis mode. So lessons on crisis were really very, very good, Sarath.
Thank you, Kesh.
That's my take, yeah.
All right. So if I ask Sarath, what was your most memorable encounter, maybe locally and internationally, if we say?
Most memorable. Okay, so most memorable would have been the first attack itself. I think that was the hippo attack. And yeah, for everyone. So everyone must be wondering, why is Vikesh dressed so well, Mike and Zara, and why Sarath is just a normal, just a Nike t-shirt. This t-shirt has a lot of history as well, right? So since I started travel 6 years ago, every safari I have done, I've worn this. So in the book, there is this one place where I actually speak about Kenya. As I went to Kenya, I thought it was going to be a very hot country, so I just went with arm cuts. Thankfully, my friend Kunal gave me this 6 years ago, and to date, I wear this every day. This is my lucky jersey. But in terms of a memorable international encounter, probably would have been the hippo attack. That's not something I expected. I knew that could happen, but the way it happened, I can never forget it. It's hard to explain. Every time I try to think of it, I can still kind of smell the breath of the animal just as it was about to attack the boat. So yeah, that was the international most memorable experience. And when you look at it in a local context, I think Sri Lanka has diverse wildlife, and when it comes not just land, even when it comes to the coastal and even sea life. And out of the 7 turtle species in the world, sea turtles, we have 5 of them coming into Sri Lanka. We have the biggest whale, but these are common things. But in 2019, it was a pleasant surprise when we saw a seal in Sri Lanka. You will never see a seal. So that was the first time sighting, and that was unbelievable. It was here for a month, never sighted again. So probably that was the memorable sighting in Sri Lanka.
All right. So what about in another country, overseas?
The thing is, surprisingly, it's not like a cliche, but I think every time I did a travel, there was something, seeing the Black Panther or being attacked by a rhinoceros in Nepal. I mean, when you travel in India as well, what's interesting is you don't know. No, every time you travel out of the country, you're not sure of exactly what's going to happen. And, so I guess there are so many outcomes, but probably the Black Panther, the rhinoceros attack, the hippo attack, these are some of the overseas memorable ones.
All right. Can you explain more about it? We'd like to know more.
Sure. I mean, so what's interesting is a rhinoceros attack, right? So I know I've written it, but I'll just give a small blooper to people or exactly what happened. Well, we were told for the last 20 years, walking safaris have been done in Nepal, and no one has got harmed or attacked in the process. But out of the blues, it was in another park in Nepal. We just heard the previous state that a rhinoceros attacked a tourist, and there was a big warning. But it was just after 20 years, one is nothing. So we decided we'll do a walk. And what we didn't realize was we were looking for a mother and a baby rhinoceros. Accidentally, we just encounter a big, humongous rhinoceros. These are the one-horned rhinoceros, which looks like prehistoric animals. Let me see if I have a picture at least to show some of the viewers. Yeah, so these guys look prehistoric. So what happened in that instance was we were told by the ranger at whatever given time, do not panic and run, stick as a team so we look big. And we had another tracker behind. As soon as we encountered the rhinoceros, the tracker just ran his way. He completely forgot about us. He just left us. And I mean, myself, every step I took, I'm very scared, mind you. I'm really scared, though I like it. So every time I had to look at a tree, okay, that's a big tree I can hide behind. Every step I took, I had to look at a place where I could hide. And that's exactly what I was doing. And suddenly when it attacked us, I just ran. I didn't think, I just ran. And there were thorn bushes, I got bruised. I mean, I still have the clothes which I go for that, and I still wear that on safaris as well. That's another good luck charm I wear. It's already torn behind, but I still wear that. And it was interesting, right? In the book, I've explained how each of us, my friend Kunal, how we just froze. My cousin Sohan kind of followed the tracker and fell down, and how the ranger alone went for the attack. So I think that was one of the most memorable ones as well.
Great, that's lovely. Okay, so if I ask our invitees, so you've had experiences in Sri Lanka? Have you visited any wildlife destinations? Mike?
I'll jump in if I may. And I've got to confess that every time I go to Colombo, I teach a number of wild students, but I don't get to meet any of the other fauna of the region. So I keep promising myself that I will have a proper visit to Sri Lanka, and I will see some of the beautiful, wonderful animals that are not too far away, like leopards, elephants, blue whales, I believe, and of course, lots of birds in Sri Lanka. And yeah, that's one of my post-pandemic resolutions, okay? Next time, take an extra week, just enjoy the acclimatization to Sri Lankan time. And it would be nice not to always be thinking of my next lecture or presentation, but to be able to enjoy the beautiful country. And that's my plan. So yeah, I've got to confess, it's a long way to go just to see the inside of a business school and a classroom. So yeah, my plan is definitely see a bit more. And I know I have some good friends there who will advise me now of all the best places to go and the best things to see. And it's not really the same as it's seeing animals in their natural habitat compared with the very artificial situation of a zoo. So I remember going to South Africa and seeing Cape giraffes and some rhinos and penguins, swimming with penguins in South Africa. And you can't really explain it. The artificial environment of a zoo is better than nothing, but it's not real. So yeah, that's my plan for post-lockdown.
Mike, the good thing is with Sri Lanka, for any wildlife location, any park, it's probably 1 to 3 hours maximum. With the highways, you can just hit it. So I mean, you can go and see the whales in 1 hour, and then go and see dolphins in few, and then you can go and see the leopards in another 1 hour's time. Everything is connected. Sri Lanka is a small country, but diverse. So I mean, I don't need much time when you're here next time in Colombo, it's just an easy drive. Trust me.
Okay, that's my plan then. It's an easier country to get around than somewhere like India, which is of course a subcontinent, Vikesh, bigger than a country.
Oh, you're most welcome.
That you have a very big territory.
I'll have to find out a city which I want to rename, and I'll take you there.
Yes. And
Because
I don't want
of
to
that-
wondering what we are talking about, because that conversation happened before she came.
Yes. So I was just saying, I remember Bombay and Calcutta, but they've all changed their name since I first visited that beautiful place.
Amazing.
So, Zara and Vikesh, what about you? Have you visited Sri Lanka?
I haven't actually. It's on my list.
Oh, really? You should
Absolutely
visit.
love Asia. Yeah, it's one of the destinations. Actually, like just before the pandemic, I was thinking to myself, because I just got back from Vietnam, and I was like,
Okay.
next, I'm going to be booking all these different trips, and like had all these ideas planned, and obviously, nothing's happened in the past year. But I love travel. I love traveling, so it's on my list. I think my closest encounter to a hippopotamus has been in my imagination, and you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh at me with this, but I went to Australia traveling, and I went diving for the first time, and I was really, really scared, and I was just like worried about what I was going to see. And I said to my diving instructor, I said, "Oh, like, is there going to be sharks? Is there going to be sharks?" And he was like, "Oh no, you're more. To be honest, the sharks are fine. You're more likely to get killed by a hippopotamus in your life." And I was like, "Is there going to be a hippopotamus? Is there going to be a hippopotamus?" And I'm not joking. The whole boat laughed at me because I thought that the fact that I thought there could be a hippopotamus in Australia. So yeah, that's the closest I've come to it, just in my mind. So kudos to Sarath for actually going and experiencing it all in person, because I'm such a scaredy cat.
But I think, Zara, like what we discussed yesterday, 2022, probably Sri Lanka. Yes?
Yeah, 2022 Sri Lanka. Yeah, that's the plan.
That's great.
I've just put Bali for September, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it might happen. But I was optimistic.
Zara, about the hippos, in India, in Africa, the number one death from animals are obviously, anyone could guess, is the mosquito. Second, a lot of people generally say it's a lion. No, it's a hippo.
Oh wow.
Those deaths in Africa is the hippo.
Yeah, that's what scares me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
I learned all of that after my encounter. So,
Yeah, just don't look up the stats until after the safari, I think.
Hey, what about Vikesh? You didn't say anything about Sri Lanka. Have you been here?
Well, yes. I have been to Sri Lanka a couple of times, and I used to previously work for a company which is based out of Manchester, and we used to sell our soaps there, Imperial Leather Soap.
Oh,
That is what it used to take.
Cousins.
Cousins, you are right.
I know them,
I did
yes.
not-
Patterson
Yeah.
Zakonis.
Yeah, now it is Patterson Zakonis. It's a
Yeah.
Greek company, but
Yeah.
those days it used to be a British company, and we had some manufacturing also happening in Colombo. And Rani soap people, if you know, they were the people who were making Imperial Leather Soap for us, and that is what used to take me there. So I visited a couple of times, and I've been through a couple of cities like Kandy and all nearby places of Colombo. I visited some wildlife experience. Yes, I think if one goes to Sri Lanka and doesn't visit the elephant orphanage and that experience, that there is a huge, group of elephants that is brought for bathing every day. If you reach at that point of time, that is a lovely experience. But that has been about now 20 years. What I'm talking about is about 20, 25, 20 years ago. That was my last visit to Sri Lanka. So last 20 years, every year I've been thinking, yeah, in between I went in 2001, also probably 2004. Yeah. So 2004 was probably my last visit.
all right.
That was as a tourist with a group of people. And I would love to visit Sri Lanka and Colombo. I just love the city. The food is fantastic. And some of the sea view within Colombo is just mesmerizing.
Yes.
The hotel which is there in front of Taj, what is it? The Gol?
The Golf Face Hotel?
Yeah, Golf Face, yeah. Golf Face.
Golf Face.
Yeah. That's an old hotel. I have stayed there, and those days it was not in very, very good condition. I don't know if they have
They
revamped
refurbished it. Yeah.
And they must have, because it's a heritage hotel.
Yes.
And it was a lovely stay, huge rooms of British era, and it was a lovely stay there. And Colombo is really worth visiting. Zara, you should not delay. You must make it.
I will. I'm very excited to visit.
And very hospitable people. Food is something that will draw you there again and again.
Oh,
we just need to plan. We're all going to meet up in Colombo next year. I think that's a deal.
Super.
Yeah,
we'll celebrate the anniversary. We'll celebrate the anniversary of this.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Okay. Sarath, you must do a big get together for the anniversary celebration, and we'll all come.
Exactly.
Let's do something.
Lovely. So this question is for Sarath, actually. So Archerville is the luxury brand of Walkers Tours. And like I said before, we've been servicing our clientele, Walkers Tours. We've been servicing our clientele for over 50 years, and we are really concerned about responsible tourism. And that topic has come up with the pandemic breaking in, especially. So if you have a message to give out to those travelers, some tips as to how to be responsible in comparison to other countries, how would you say it? How would you put it?
So I think that's one of my objectives with this book. It was never about promoting. See, actually I had two objectives, right? So internationally, I want this book to go out because I personally feel people should start traveling, and that's where you learn. And in terms of wildlife, what I realized also with the pandemic is that I was restricted to Sri Lanka only, so I had to explore Sri Lanka much more. And annually, I generally do a calendar, and it's always based on overseas animals and the 12 months. So this time when I did the calendar for myself, it was all, I realized how diverse Sri Lanka was, right? I mean, from the blue whale, the biggest whale, from owls to flamingos. Now, I had to go all the way to Kenya to see these animals, right?
Maybe you can show it a little bit closer to the screen. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. And this is called, so Sri Lanka has 4 wild cats, and this is called the jungle cat. So we have it all. I mean, the twin elephants, first time in Sri Lanka. So what I realized was I want people to start appreciating their own country, their wildlife, and also look at Sri Lanka as a wildlife destination, because I truly believe, I mean, where can you say these? Now, last weekend, I was in Kalpitia, a true story, 1,000 dolphins guaranteed. Wow. During season. Jumping up, I mean, it's it's absolutely a show, and this is the highlight where everyone comes, right? This guy. So, wow. In terms of my message out there as well is, I very strongly look at conservation, and I know you all, more or less everyone now is on conservation, but when people start traveling, they start appreciating the flora and the fauna. And thus, conservation just builds in. You tell people, no, we need to save this planet. You need to look at sustainability as a core value. It doesn't work because we are just telling them. Once they start appreciating, so my message is also travel. And this book, what I'm just trying to tell people is just travel. It might be Sri Lanka, it might be in your own country. Travel as much as possible. Yeah.
Wow. That calendar is great, Sarath. Can we have another look at the calendar a little bit more?
Yes, so this is a bear.
Wow, so sweet.
Sloth bear.
Yeah, it's a sloth bear. This is the famous seal which came to our coastline. Like I said, we have, out of the 7 sea turtles, we have 5 coming into Sri Lanka, and this is just one of them. Mike, this is just 45 minutes from Colombo.
Okay, it's a deal. It's on my agenda, my itinerary.
I mean, that's about it. I mean, you can see a samba deer. I mean, The thing is, what's interesting here is as well is wildlife. If you don't prefer the hot climate, you also have the cold climate. You go to hot plains, you see leopards there, you see somebody here. So I mean, we have that experience. So yeah, I actually look forward to you guys coming here because I'll definitely plan your trips.
Wow.
You do one more book and we'll come there. That won't be a Zoom meeting. That would be a meeting in the banquets or in the wild, in the open.
So, Vikesh, every time I travel for work as well, right, Mike, like just like you, even when I went to South Africa work, the first thing I did was I always, if it's not personal, whenever I have traveled overseas, I would first check is okay, country, and I would check the national parks. And then I would say, okay, I'm staying for X amount of days. I'm going to spend all my own money because the ticket is free, right? And then I would start traveling. That's my favorite part of the free ticket, and you get your travel.
Okay, so now I'd like to ask our invitees, what is it that you learned from Sarath's book in terms of the uniqueness of Sri Lankan wildlife? He just explained a couple of those to you. What do you think will get international travelers interested in visiting Sri Lanka in terms of wildlife? If I start with Mike.
I think Sarath put his finger on it, as we say. In other words, the USP, the unique selling proposition of Sri Lanka is having all these wonderful and unusual animals and birds, but also within a very short distance. So even for travelers who are time poor and can only spend 3 or 4 days or a week, there is lots to see. And also, I think increasingly sustainable tourism is going to be the only way to go. So we have these wonderful places and wonderful animals and birds to see, but we need to make sure they're here in 20 years for our grandchildren and their children. So we've got to start looking after everything that we have at the moment and protecting these creatures. And I think Sri Lanka's doing that very well. There's probably further to go, but I think we need to support that and encourage it. And of course, as people who live overseas, our pounds and dollars and euros will be helpful in that effort. So I think it's a two-way thing. The providers of these travel products are working hard post-pandemic to rebuild, and they need us. I'm talking to all the Europeans and Americans and other Asians who will be prepared to travel and spend some money to see wonderful things. So yeah, I think we should all be building back better in every parts of our life. And we can at last see some light at the end of the tunnel in this pandemic. And part of getting back to normal is getting back traveling and seeing wonderful things. And that's what I'm planning to do.
Lovely. All right. What about Vikesh and Zara? Vikesh?
Well, I think elephants will always be the biggest attraction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Although Sarath has shown a lot of other pictures also, a lot of other animals, but elephants will always remain the biggest attraction because they attract the whole family, children particularly.
True.
And the families love to see, and they are quite playful. They can, be seen, they can be touched also, so they can be felt more. But the sea life is also very, very interesting. Now, I had actually not experienced all this, so maybe when I come next, I would like to, experience all these pictures, etc., that he has shown now. So I'm looking forward to that experience.
Lovely.
And I'm going to make it soon because I know the next book Sarath will bring out in less than a year's time before the pandemic.
No pressure, no pressure, Sarah.
Complete.
Oh gosh, I'm going to respond to that.
Zara, what would you say?
No, I
about-
agree.
Sri Lanka is a great attraction for tourists.
Yeah, I think
Very
friends
friendly
that have gone
place.
to
Very friendly place.
yeah, any friends that have gone have always said they needed more time because there's so much to see. So I think that kind of speaks for itself, really. I think Mike hit it on the head as well, that I think the rising theme for the next year will be about saving the planet and actually really kind of shocking people into that mindset. Personally, I don't think I'd really listened to that until more recently, and I think this is only going to get bigger. So I think really honing in on the fact that this is a sustainable tourist destination feels really like a really special point as well. And absolutely love an elephant, so you can't go wrong with a cuddle with an elephant as well. So yeah, it's definitely on my list, and you're making me want to go right now, which is not fair in a national lockdown. If I could get on a plane right now, I would.
Okay, so now, yeah, Sarath, go ahead.
Because I think what's interesting is the fact that all of us agree on conservation and sustainability. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I was driving with this book as well. Every platform I got, everyone who spoke with me, one of the biggest things is, and I think, Mike, you very rightly said as well, right? Tourists also need to demand that from Sri Lanka, saying, you want to travel, you want sustainable tourism, because it's not about us. I can safely say I've seen most of these animals. I can be happy. It's not about us anymore. It's about the future as well. How do we make sure that the future generations, just like us, see, appreciate, and how do we coexist, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So it's lovely that you all also kind of resonate on the same theme as well.
Great. Okay, so now we will move on. It'll be more like a rapid fire round. I will be there will be some questions asked from all of you. So maybe one after the other. I'll list down the order. Maybe Zara can answer first, Mike second, then Vikesh third, and Sarath lastly. So here we go. Most interesting fact about Sri Lankan wildlife in a flash.
Elephants. Lots of elephants.
Mike, what's yours?
Blue whales.
Vikesh.
Well, I love elephants again and again.
Sarath.
Leopards.
All right. Which is your favorite wildlife park you have been to, and why, if you have been?
Someone else go first, because I'm trying to think.
Mike, have you been?
Okay, I've seen some wildlife in South Africa, which was amazing. So yeah, I had a really good vacation there, but I want to do the same in other countries. So plenty to do.
Okay, Vikesh?
Well, I have been to South Africa as well, and many other countries. I think safari parks in Sri Lanka are quite enjoyable to visit. And this place, where I saw the elephant orphanage, etc. What was that? What is that place? I can't recall the name. Yeah. So that place is a very, very lovely place.
Okay, Sarath, what is yours? Thank you, Vikesh. Sarath, what's yours?
Masai Mara in Kenya, in Sri Lanka, Vilpattu.
All right. Then third one, how would you contribute towards conservation when you travel? In a flash, how would you say it? Zara.
How will you contribute towards conservation?
Conservation, yes.
I think just being really mindful and educating myself in the places that I go to.
Okay, Mike?
When I get to a new city, I just walk and walk, provided it's safe, and most places are safe. So I take advice from local people, but I travel by foot whenever I can. I think that's good for me as well. So it doesn't make much difference, but it's a small contribution.
Okay, Vikesh?
Absolutely.
Minimalistic.
Minimalistic, all right.
Yes,
Ooh.
travel with least.
Travel light.
Yeah, travel light and use the minimum things and enjoy maximum.
All right.
Enjoy
Sarath,
maximum.
Enjoy maximum. Sarath.
I generally check how sustainable and conservation driven they are. Quick example, in Nepal, we kind of excluded everyone who said elephant back riding was that they have these cages on elephants, and they allow
the howdahs.
Everyone who said they'll do it, we said no, and we take them off. And person who said we can organize it, but we don't recommend it, it's bad for the elephants, we selected them. So yeah, I'm very cautious about that.
All right. So this question again, the fourth question from Zara. When the travel rules are eased, where would you go first?
Well, I've booked a trip to Bali already, so probably Bali. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Mike?
I think for vacation, I'm going to stay in Europe. I might go somewhere like Spain or Greece, some beautiful place I've never been before. But for work, I want to get back to Colombo as soon as I can.
Great. What about Vikesh? What have you in mind?
Oh, well, I would I'd love to make Sri Lanka the first, but there are some family reasons, and some get together is pending in New Zealand. So I'll have to travel up there. But I think Sri Lanka is just next door. So I would love to make it soon.
Okay. Sarath, what about you?
Snow leopards in India.
Ah,
Amazing.
Sarath, where would you go?
Sorry.
Where would you go when the
To see snow leopards.
to snow leopards? Oh, right. Okay. Wow, nice. Okay, so so we've almost come to the end of the session. So I'd like to thank the invitees for accepting our invitation. Zara, Mike, Vikesh, thank you so much. We'd like to invite you to come to Sri Lanka. We'd be happy to organize a lovely tour for you.
Love that.
Yes, and
Can I say something, please?
Yes,
I say at the end of every single training session I do, and I don't just say this because Zara is here. I say, "See you on LinkedIn." I literally say that. I don't necessarily encourage my students or business contacts to connect on other platforms, but LinkedIn is my favorite. So I always say that. And so far it's working. And I like to connect with people I know, or at least have some commonality with, rather than just total strangers. So I have an active LinkedIn community, and there's nothing like it. So thank you, LinkedIn. And thank you, everybody.
On there.
Thank you very much for accepting invitation. So we hope to see you back in Sri Lanka. And Sarah, thank you very much.
Yeah, can't wait.
Thank you very much. We wish
Thank
you
you,
all
guys.
the best with your future endeavors. I'd like to invite our viewers to purchase Sarath's book. It's great. Sarath, why don't you invite them to purchase your book?
More than a purchase in the book, my biggest thing is, guys, please speak conservation, speak. That's all I want. It's not about the book, to be very honest. Just be very sustainable travelers. Guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate this. Thanks again, Zara, Vikesh, and Mike, and Rasmi and the team. Really appreciate it.
Yes, I'd like to mention my team, Sondra, Indrajit, Amandani, Stephanie. They've done a great job organizing this. So thanks to them as well. So we are about to wrap up. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Meet you all again soon. Yeah.
Yes.
See you soon.